搞保护主义，如同把自己关入黑屋子，看似躲过了风吹雨打，但也隔绝了阳光和空气。打贸易战的结果，只能是两败俱伤。
Assalamualaikum and hello everyone. We are Group 3 from the class of AS30403, US Asia International Politics, Semester 2, 2024/2025. Today, our group will be presenting a video about realism in US-China trade war. Before we begin our presentation, allow me to introduce our group members. First, we have Muhammad Farezal bin Abdul Ali. Next is Pangeran ARIFF ZAKWAN bin Awang Muhammad SALLEH. Then we have If MASUIL. Next is Nur AWANIS binti ROSLAN. Following that is Nur Natasha Aima binti RAHMAT. And finally is Nur SYAZWANI binti JASMI. Together, we have worked collaboratively to deliver this presentation. And we hope you find it informative and engaging. Enjoy!
You go over to China. You know, China. I know China. I have people that I know. China. I have to have my China. China. Because China. I've been saying
The United States-China trade war, which escalated in 2018, goes beyond tariffs and trade deficits. It reflects a deeper strategic rivalry between two global powers. What began as a response to issues like intellectual property theft and unfair trade practices quickly evolved into a broader confrontation over technology, national security, and global influence. Viewed through the lens of realism in international relations, this conflict highlights how states operating in an anarchic international system act in self-interest to secure power and survival. The US seeks to maintain its dominant global positions, while China's rapid rise challenges the status quo. The trade war, therefore, is not an anomaly. It's a manifestation of enduring power politics and hegemonic competition.
Today, I will give a short, simple explanation about realism in international relations. Realism became more popular after World War I. At the time, the League of Nations failed to stop another big war, World War II. But the ideas of realism started a long ago with famous thinkers like Thucydides and Machiavelli. Later, Hans Morgenthau became the father of modern realism. Realism has four main ideas. First, country or state are the most important players in the world politics. Second, the world has no higher power to control countries. Third, every country wants to stay safe and protect itself. Fourth, countries don't fully trust each other and always try to be stronger. Realism also says that countries don't always follow moral or ethical rules. Instead, they do what is the best for their own interests. This is called raison d'etat, do what is practical to survive. There are few types of realism. Classical realism says conflict happens because of human nature. Neorealism says it happens because the world system has no global leader. Offensive realism says countries always want more power. And defensive realism also says that act only they feel in danger. Lastly, power is not just about the military. Economic power also matters. For example, in the US-China trade war, the US used tariff and bans to stop China from going too strong. In short, realism sees the world as a place where countries compete for power and must protect themselves.
I'll be talking about the background of the United States-China economic ties, which is one of the most significant relationships in shaping our global economy today. The United States and China are both permanent members of the United Nations Security Council, giving them immense power politically and also economically. Their influence extends across international markets due to their strong economies and global reach. Their economic bond began to grow in 1972 when President Nixon visited China. Things accelerated in 2001 when China joined the World Trade Organization, opening the door for greater trade with the US and creating what many called a win-win relationship, especially in manufacturing and tech. However, this cooperation began to unravel in 2018 when President Trump imposed tariffs on Chinese goods, accusing China of unfair trade practices and intellectual property theft. In response, China slapped retaliatory tariffs on key United States exports like soybeans and cars. To counterbalance the tensions, China expanded its trade network through initiatives like the Belt and Road and the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. What started as a trade dispute soon escalated into a broader strategic rivalry, with the U.S. viewing China not just as an economic competitor, but as a long-term national security threat.
From a realist perspective, the state is the key actor in international relations, with its survival and security as a top priorities. In the context of US-China trade war, the United States' action can be seen as strategy to balance China's rising economic power. As a measure of state 2021, states aim to boost their relative strength and seek hegemony either globally or regionally as a means of ensuring survivals. The trade war isn't just about tariffs. It reflects a deeper struggle over economic dominance and national interests. Realists argue that in an anarchic international system, states act rationally to secure power and reduce threat. This often includes limiting trade with rivals like China to prevent them from gaining a strategic edge, according to Zhang in 2022. China's rapid rise is viewed as both an opportunity and a threat by the US. Under Donald Trump's first presidency in 2017, the US launched a trade war, accusing China of unfair trade practices by 2000. By 2018, the US-China trade deficit has reached over $340 billion, sparking accusations of intellectual property theft and economic aggression, according to Denmark and SALLEH in 2023.
Vietnam became one of the biggest winners, as US tariff made Chinese goods more expensive. Many companies moved their production to Vietnam. With low labor costs, good location, and strong trade deals, Vietnam saw a big increase in foreign investment. US imports from Vietnam rose over 25% in 2019. But Vietnam also needs to balance its tie with China, its powerful neighbor and trading partner, especially with tensions in South China Sea. South Korea, on the other hand, has more challenges. Its economy is deeply connected to both China and US, especially in tech. US restrictions on Chinese firms like Huawei restricted South Korean chip exports. Strategically, South Korea must walk a fine line. Is a US ally which relies heavily on trade with China. To reduce risks, it's focusing on innovation and trade diversification through its new Southern policy. In short, Vietnam gained new opportunities, while South Korea must carefully navigate economic and political pressure. Thank you.
The trade war between United States and China started in 2018. The trade war between China and US gave negative impact for Malaysia, a country that depends on free trade. Malaysia exports many electrical and electronic products to China. Because of the trade war, the market became uncertain and the supply chain was disrupted. This made it harder for Malaysia to produce a quality product and export, especially to China. But for Taiwan, the trade war gave positive impact since the United States had higher tax for China product. A lot of companies such as Apple moved their production to Taiwan. This helped Taiwan become stronger in technology sector. Taiwan company like TSMC become a top global chip maker. Taiwan also grow its trade with United States and invest more in Western countries. But this also increased tension with China, which sees Taiwan as a part of its land. So, Taiwan gained economic benefit, but also face more political pressure.
Trade war highlights how realist theory remains crucial for understanding global conflict. Even though the two countries are deeply economically interconnected, Their behavior reflects a strong focus on state power, security, and strategic advantage. The rise in tariffs, the push for technological separation, and efforts to control vital supply chains all reveal a zero-sum mindset, where one side gain is seen as others' loss. This reflects as a growing mistrust and a recognition that the global balance of power is shifting. While liberal views suggest globalization encourages cooperation, the ongoing tension between the US and China shows how those assumptions can break down during power transitions. As China rises and the US pushes back to maintain its influence, we are likely to see continued rivalry, not just in trade, but in technology, security, and diplomacy. From a realist perspective, this trade war isn't just about economics, it's a symptom of deeper structural competition between great powers. Thank you.